Good afternoon. Are we live?
We should be. Are we live? Oh, I
Let's
heard the
see.
buzz.
Okay, there is a buzz. Like seriously, we're still technology. Welcome to Grief Talk. It's
Mhm.
Wednesday, and we are here to have lunch with you. My name is Jennifer Tom,
And I'm Darlene Rempel.
and we're excited. Darlene, we have our tea today. If you have some friends out, please invite them to watch us during our noon hour and as we wrap up this month. And we've been talking about how to build stronger relationships, and today we are going to summarize that and tie the topic, our theme, with how does that relate to grieving, because remember we are grief talk. So we are excited to be here today, and before we kick off, we have an amazing quote to share with you. And as Darlene gets that quote, I have to acknowledge that we were late because of technical issues. However, we are here and we're excited to be with you. So, Darlene will share with us the quote.
The quote is from Helen Keller, and it's it says, "We bereaved are not alone. We belong to the largest company in all the world, the company of those who have known suffering." That's powerful. Sometimes we feel so alone when we're grieving, when we've lost something, and we're going to talk about why we feel that way, but sometimes we feel alone. But I love this quote because it tells us that we're not alone. In fact, we belong to the largest company in the world because, as we've said before, 100% of us are grievers.
I know. And the part that I underlined, Darlene, is the company of those who have known suffering. I believe all of us had have had. I cannot speak today. We've all suffered, and suffering is part of us. And I have to share this because some of my friends are watching, and I've been taking classes and science seminars, and they say suffering is optional.
What?
Maybe we are going to have that topic later. However, I just love that we are all 100% grievers, and suffering is part of life.
It
And
is.
when you go through suffering, a life event that makes you suffer, you should like we feel we're here to connect with you, because that's our mission, darling, in life, to connect with people and to walk with people who are going through grief and who have had a loss. And remember, when we talk about grief, grief is a natural and normal reaction to any loss. We're talking about loss of health, loss of finances, loss of like change, and all the myths that go with that. So please join us. Thank you. Please give us a thumbs up if you can hear us and if you're loving this, and tell us and share with us, how do you build stronger relationships. I love that Darlene is going to recap for us what we did this month, and then we go from there.
We have a hello from, I don't know.
Hello. Okay.
So we've had a great month. So we started out with sharing. Jen was sharing with us the 3 E's of building a healthy or a strong relationship. And those were empathy. So being able to put ourselves in the other person's position, being able to understand or care about what the person is going through. Enthusiasm, which is Jen's highlight, excited. We have to be enthusiastic about the relationship, and we also have to encourage it. We can't be criticizing all the time. We need to be encouraging each other and building each other up. So those were the 3 E's of a healthy relationship.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then we had our guest speaker, Eva, and she's another bubble of enthusiasm and joy. And she shared with us a few things. Do you want to recap that?
Yeah, she shared about a retreat that they had, which was all about connecting, and not just connecting, but when we connect with the expectation that we're going to care and love each other, makes a whole different atmosphere than when we're just trying to get things done. Maybe
I love it. Yeah. Yes, yes. And that retreat was beautiful. It says we had an intention, and the intention was connection,
Mhm.
to reconnect after we've been so
Mhm.
disconnected over the
Mhm.
2 years. And it was powerful. And I look forward to connecting with you all again
Mhm.
soon. And the last, we talked about different types of friends.
Mhm.
We've got old friends,
Mhm.
maintenance friends, and growth friends.
Mhm.
And we should all have growth friends, because growth friends are friends that align with you at this time of your life.
Mhm.
So, where you at in your life, and what kind of growth friends are you aligning yourself?
Mhm.
And I love that we shared. We don't need to feel guilty about our old friends or maintenance friends, because that's just how it is. Because our life paths changes,
Mhm.
and as it changes, you meet. And I love that our life changes when if you're not
Mhm.
change, meaning growth, and if you're not growing, you're dying.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
is bad when we're talking about grief talk here.
Mhm.
However, like meaning
Mhm.
inside.
Yeah.
And that's where growth friends are so important, because they
Mhm.
align with you at where you're at in
Mhm.
your life.
Mhm. Awesome. And then we also ask questions about how do you get to know somebody? What should you know about your growth friends, all your friends? And so we just had some key questions that we need to ask, because often we just stay on the surface and we don't get that deep connection. So some of the questions are, where are you from? Or where did you grow up? Do you speak another language? Where are you living now? What's the best thing that happened in the last year? And what's the most challenging thing that happened in the last year?
I love those deep questions. I love those deep questions. And it's always funny. Um, they say when you talk about the weather, that's not deep. So we encourage you to get that deep,
Mhm,
strong connection and relationships, to build those
mhm,
stronger relationships.
mhm,
We need to go deep and ask, what was the biggest challenge you encountered last year? We all know we have a challenge. So, or what was your biggest win from
mhm,
last year? And that way you get to know where people are,
mhm,
you get to encourage them, you get to use your 3 hours, you get to encourage them, you get to share with
mhm.
enthusiasm, and you get to have empathy,
Yeah.
because when someone has gone through a life event that has caused suffering,
Mhm,
empathy is
mhm,
all is everything.
mhm. And
So
that's how you make growth friends.
yes, and that's how we own it. Look at it, it's all coming together. I love the end
Mhm,
of the month when we
mhm,
recap, because
mhm,
when we start the month, we have an intention of
mhm,
the theme, and then by the end of the month, we're like, oh,
mhm,
it's coming together.
mhm.
So now, what does building strong relationships have to do with grief?
Mm. Yeah.
Anybody? You want to share? I'll let our darling expert share with us, how does building strong relationships tie in with grief?
Okay. So grief, when we've had that loss, when we've had that change, many times we pull back from people, we pull back from interaction, we pull back from connection, and we don't either we don't feel like there's anyone we can share with, or sometimes it's just what we've been socialized for, that we don't want to be sad in front of people, or we're just nobody wants to listen to us anymore. And so um, but in order to work through grief, we need a community and we need to be able to share. I know in my own experience, if I don't share or have somebody I can talk to, things just keep going around in my head, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and soon it's all internalized and I don't even know what's the truth, what's going on anymore.
That is so good. That is so good. Thank you, Francis, for joining us all the way from Thicker. Yes, darling, that is so good,
Mhm.
right? That is so good. So, what you're saying is we need a community and
Mhm.
relationships to grieve.
We do. We do. We need that connection. Otherwise, we never complete. We never finish. Because grief is always tied to a person or a relationship, or either if it's a relationship with a person or a relationship with a thing, right? It's always connected. And so if we never talk about it, or if we never go through that connection, we'll never finish completely grieving.
I love it. I love it. And we talk a lot about different myths because
Mhm.
how we grieve is because of different myths that
Mhm.
we've learned. So when we don't have stronger connections, stronger relationships, we tend to grieve alone.
Mhm.
And how do we start grieving alone? Like, how? Where did that myth come from?
Mhm.
That when you're sad, you need to do it alone. When you're
Mhm.
sad, you need to go to your room.
Mhm.
When you're sad, you don't need to talk to anybody. When you're
Mhm.
sad, do not share.
Mhm.
You're only supposed to share when it's good stuff.
Mhm.
Where did we learn that? Because that is actually the opposite that we should be doing. And
Mhm.
that's why we're here to share with you
Mhm.
lessons learned from life and loss.
Mhm.
And Darlene will share with us about that myth, about grieve
Yeah.
alone.
So who has ever heard laugh and the world laughs with you and cry and you cry alone?
Mm,
It's something
yes.
that even if we've not heard, we kind of connect with it and say, "Oh, that feels like that's what life is like, right?" Because people don't want to be sad. They don't want us to be sad. Who wants to be sad? We want to laugh and be happy and show those emotions. But when it comes to sadness and to sharing about grief, we're often told, even from a young age, no, don't be sad. Or if you want to cry, go cry in your room. Or what's the other famous one?
I love it.
If
I
you
love it.
cry, if you don't stop crying, we'll give you something to cry about.
Yes. That was my mother's favorite.
Hmm.
If I cry, she said, I'll give you a big reason to cry.
Hmm.
And what does that mean? It means go cry by yourself. Like
Hmm.
go
Go cry
or don't
alone.
cry, which translates to don't feel
Hmm.
bad.
Hmm.
Or I'll give you a reason to cry.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes, darling, that's so good.
So it's things that are said, but it's also actions, right? So if when I was growing up, my family didn't show a lot of emotion. Like I remember my mom never getting sad. Like she never showed her emotions, and she wasn't sad around us. And so even when somebody passed away, there was no crying or there was no sadness. So what does that also teach me? What did I learn from that? Is that you don't show your emotions, right? If you cry, you go cry alone and you don't show your emotions.
I love it. I mean, I don't love that. I love that we can be open
Mm,
and have this space to
mhm,
share this stuff because that's a me, right?
mhm,
And that's why this theme was so strong
mhm,
about building stronger
mhm,
relationships because we need them. Because guess what? What we've been taught
mhm,
or what we know or what we've learned or
mhm,
the tools we have on how we grieve is we've been told to disconnect.
mhm.
And we are here to share that we need to
Connect.
connect. And we're here to share how do you build those stronger relationships
Mhm,
so that when the time comes and there's a life event,
mhm,
you don't grieve alone because it is not a good thing to do.
mhm. It's
Yeah.
not fun. Yeah.
Whoa. So how do we get all this together? So what, like Darlene, share with us what impact do people? What's the impact when people grieve alone? Like what happens when you grieve alone?
I think when we grieve alone, or when we get unresolved grief, when we grieve alone and we've never voiced or about our grief or about the relationship, we just internalize everything, and then we're kind of caught in this trap, and we're always saying, "Oh, I wish things would have been different. I wish I would have done this. I wish this wouldn't have happened. I wish I had had more time with the person. I wish we had had a better relationship." And we just keep dwelling on those wishes, and they just stay in our lives, and we never resolve that because we always just wish that it had been different, better, or more. We also get stuck in unrealized hopes, dreams, and expectations for that relationship. So again, then as we're going along in our life, we keep thinking about, I wish we would have done this. I wish my dad had been at my wedding. I wish, right? I wish we had been able to repair that relationship. And now I'm stuck because there's no way to repair that relationship. So now I'm stuck, or there's no way I can finish off. There's no way I can go on a trip with my loved one, right? And so then we get stuck because there's no way to work through those expectations or unrealized hopes. And the last one is really about undelivered communication of an emotional nature. So I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you are really, really upset about something and you're really in pain, and you go and you try and tell the person that, and they're like, "Oh, that didn't really happen," or "Oh, that doesn't matter." We're crushed, right, with that because we have this thing we need to say, or we've never got to say it, right? We've never got to say something that we wanted to say that we're holding on. And when we keep holding on to those undelivered communications, whether we've said them and the person has heard them, or we've never said them, or we need to say them again with somebody listening to us, we get stuck, and we get stuck, and we're waiting for that response from that person, and it never happens, and then we're stuck in that. So those are all things happen when we don't have a community where we can share, where we have somebody who will listen, with, we say, heart with ears, with her heart with ears, somebody who will listen and actually how to be able to say those things you want to say to that person.
I love it. And the biggest benefit to all this information that we are sharing from lessons learned through life and loss is that when we can live without carrying all that heavy backpack that we've talked about here, is carrying those losses in our back. We live freely, we live light, you walk light. And life, this life gift of life that we've been given, we start living fully. We start being present, because we are light. So I just love it. And unpacking that backpack is, I call it, you just have to keep doing it. You just have to learn, get the tools to know how to unpack the backpack. Because remember, suffering, any life events will happen to us. If it's today, it's not me. Tomorrow, it's someone else, and that's just how it is. And so we are here to just to share with you, to connect with you, so that when these life events happen, we have stronger relationships to create that space where we can listen with the heart, with ears. Oh, I love it. So that being said, May is around the corner, and it's the first Tuesday of the month, and it's my favorite Tuesday because we meet in person. Last month was our first grief
Grief
talk
Talk Cafe.
cafe in person in Brooks at Ricky's, and we had such a good time. Like, it was so amazing. And thank you to the ones who showed up. And so if you live close to us, please join us at Ricky's. We actually buy you coffee and have a good time and create that space where we can share. And we invite you to check the time. It's May 3rd. I better get it right. At 9 a.m. Coffee time. And we'll be there to share and connect with you and build those strong relationships, strong connections, where we can hear each other with a heart, with ears.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have something else to add, Darling?
Oh, sometimes when we're deciding if we're going to go somewhere, right? We have our yabats, and some of the yabats that we've heard from other people, or that we've probably said ourselves, were that it's a waste of time, because I've shared before, and nobody wants to listen. It breaks my heart when I hear people who share with me that they want to talk to somebody, but nobody really wants to hear their story again. And so we just want to assure you that we're here to listen to your story. We're here to hear what you have to say. We've all gone through pain. We're going to share our stories with you, and we just invite you to share your stories with you. Other yabat is sometimes I don't want to drag up all the emotions. I don't want to go there, right? Yeah. What do you say to that, Jen?
Yes, I love it. I have friends who say, I don't want to peel that onion, because our life is like an onion, and we peel layer and layer and layer. And some of us don't want to peel. However, if you take the chance and have the courage to peel the onion and share, and you only share what you're called to share. We are here to create that space that you can share whatever you want to share, so that you can walk light. So yeah, I just love it. And we have so many stories. However, we'll save all those stories for Grief Talk in person in Brooks at Wikis. So until then, please check out our website, invite some friends on our group, private Facebook group, and follow us because we are here to connect with you, whether you're across the ocean, whether you're in Kissy, Thika, Brooks, Calgary, wherever you're tuning in from. We're here to connect with you and do this life together. So connect with us, check out our website, and share with your friends and family. Until next Wednesday, please stay connected.